This is the Glenn Beck program. I want to talk to you about an experience I had last night here in just a couple of towns down from my ranch. I gave a speech on Flag Day. It was amazing. Every year, this town has a Flag Day ceremony, and people come to it. There were about 1,000 people, maybe about 800 people there yesterday. And they did this really moving ceremony. And then I walk out and I talk to them. And the first thing I said was, you have to know how unique you are. I'm not sure how many towns across America are having a Flag Day free. Hey, everybody, come to the high school for the. I mean, it felt like it was in the Music Man for a while. It was amazing. But in talking to people before the event, I really got the sense that people are changing and are very concerned because, well, let me just talk to the politicians. Look, more and more, it seems like there are two kinds of politicians, and there aren't. There's a big fat middle, but they're not doing much. And it seems like your choice is the burn it down group or the what fire group. If the what fire group is afraid of the burn it down group, you haven't seen anything yet, because the left is wanting to burn it down. They just do it wrapped in, in crazy words that make you go, oh, no, seriously, they just said they loved America. The burn it down people love America many times, love America too, but they think burn it down. And that's the worst idea ever. But unless you stop saying what fire and you actually see what's going on, the burn it down people are going to win. Because it's happening now in our small towns. It is happening in red state America. Yesterday, I told you about a county that is as red as they come. And yet there is a prosecuting attorney that is changing things not only in his county, but also changing really. I mean, I talked to the sheriff up here and he was concerned, I don't know how many counties away, about this other sheriff, like 2 hours away. He said this guy is influential and he is changing the way law enforcement is happening. The sheriff for Utah County, one of the most conservative counties in the country, Mike Smith, is with us now. Hello, Mike. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing?
Well, I'm good. I mean, I'm a little concerned because I think I'm using your county as an example of what's happening all across the country, where you don't need Soros coming in and buying everything up. Some Republicans are doing it themselves. Tell me why Utah County, of all places, is beginning to look a lot like San Francisco.
Yeah, and that concerns me as well. That's a really scary statement and sad statement for Utah County, because that's not us. And recently, we've had a prosecutor take office who brings these ideals in that I agree with you. They are Soros-based ideas. They're failed programs that we've seen over and over again in large democratic cities that they use them, crime rates go up, and for some reason, our prosecutor believes that if he brings them here to Utah County, he's going to have a different result, and he just isn't.
What is the feeling of the community right now as they see this going on?
I can tell you with law enforcement, it's demoralizing. Our officers are out. They're working hard for their community. They are there for their citizens. They love their communities. They want to serve them. They want to help them. They work tirelessly to bring crime and to investigate these things, and then they fall on the lap of the prosecutor and nothing happens, and it's demoralizing. And we see victims that are re-victimized through these programs, and as you look at Utah County, and you look at the Republican Party, and we are very largely Republicans. You look at the Republican platform, and the platform itself says swift and certain punishments with just and appropriate penalties are essential deterrents to crime, and victim rights are always superior to criminals' rights. And we have a Utah County attorney who doesn't follow that platform, yet he runs on it. He is not a Republican.
We've seen over the past 20 years, from the 90s, or 30 years, I guess, from the 90s to the early, pre-COVID 2020s, a real drop in violent crime. But since at least the last couple of years, we've seen that totally reverse, and it has gone up. What is the cause about it, and what can we do to stop it?
There's a ton of things out there that you can say is the cause about it, but to stop it, I think everybody needs to be engaged. As we look at law enforcement, you see this movement across the nation, and it really is a Soros movement, that this all cops are bad. And we're seeing it here in Utah County. We're seeing a county attorney who keeps, pointing a finger at law enforcement, saying they're the problem, demoralize law enforcement. There's a reason why they're doing that. So for me, I look at the situation. You look at our community, and you've got really a small number of law enforcement compared to the citizens that they're trying to serve. And so for me, the answer is we're all on the same team here. Let's work together as citizens. Law enforcement, we are begging for you to be part of our team to help combat crime.
Sheriff, I really get the impression that the people are on your side and on the side of the cops. But these activists, and you don't need George Soros. When you got somebody like David Leavitt, you've got real problems because he's got a family name. He's one of these guys, like in Texas, we have the Bushes. He's one of these guys with the name. And so everybody's like, oh, I know that family, or I know those names. And they're not paying attention to what he's doing. And he's got a good shell game going on. His press conferences, he says, oh no, we got rid of the special victims unit, which is, on sex crimes and abuse and everything else, the really nasty stuff. We got rid of that because we found an easier way to do it. You see that what I've heard, you have never had cartel members in your county, and you have them now, and people aren't afraid because they're watching what he's doing in the office. Is all that true?
It is. We look at the SVU unit, and he did dismantle it. So the part of it that I guess is a little untrue is, as law enforcement, we still have an SVU unit. We're pressing forward. We push out to our employees, our officers. You do your job. Do your job regardless of what David Leavitt chooses to do. You do your job, and he can answer to the people for his inaction. So we push forward. He's pulled his prosecutors out of it. It's a model that's used across the nation. It is a model that works, and he pulled these prosecutors out. It used to be when you had a sex crime, they would, from the minute this crime was reported and a prosecutor was involved, all the way through the process, so that when these came to court, we didn't have a prosecutor who is opening up a folder and looking in the case for the first time, 5 minutes before it goes to court. And that's what we have now. We have untrained prosecutors that he's put in these positions that have a stack of cases that they're looking at 5 minutes before court, and they're not involved in the case. And so you get what you pay for in that scenario. As far as cartels go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
As far as cartels go, we have had tough on crime with our major crimes task force. We work hard, and these cartels, some people may get in their mind, it's drug users. You have to realize that cartels operate like Fortune 500 companies, and if they're looking at their liabilities, their risks, all these things, okay, I'm looking at an area where, the risks are low. So business is better here, and so we move business here. We've always been able to be really tough on them, and we still are on the law enforcement side, but they're just not getting prosecuted properly, and so the risks are low, and they flow to where business is good and risks are low, and that's what's happening.
I have heard, and I don't know if this is true, that on arrests, some officers are being told that they kind of almost laugh and go like, that's fine, I'll be out soon. I mean, it's starting to sound like New York.
Yeah, that's happening, and even worse than that, we're having, especially when you talk drugs or other things, our officers are arresting people, they're resisting arrest, they're assaulting our officers, and then the county attorney won't prosecute on those crimes. So if you assault a police officer, there's no consequences. And when we ask this, and this is the response we get, well, it will confuse the jury. And our jaws are dropped, and we're going, what are you talking about? Somebody selling crimes in our community, an officer tries to arrest them. They don't want to be arrested, so they fight the officer. How is that confusing to tell a jury?
I don't know, but I have to tell you, this is, I've made light of this, or I brought this to light to the national audience, because I think this is happening in our communities and people are not aware of it. And you don't need George Soros when you have these Republicans who I don't know what his deal is. I just know he is not the Republican that he makes everybody believe he is. I mean, the whole family has always been squishy, but there's something really wrong here. He is taking felonies and pleading them down to misdemeanors. This is going to create a New York City or a San Francisco or a Los Angeles kind of crime wave if it's allowed to continue. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. And it's when you talk about taking felonies and bringing them down to misdemeanors, he'll put out this narrative that he's prosecuting the worst. He doesn't do plea deals. Well, he absolutely does. He is smoke and mirrors. He's doing plea deals before they ever hit the court. He had one of his friend legislators run a bill. It was HB 300 a couple years ago. Gave the prosecutor the ability to drop these felonies down. He does it continually, and so he's dealing them away before they ever get to court. He says he doesn't like plea deals.
Is it true? One more. I'm sorry to interrupt, but one more quick question here because I've only got about 60 seconds. Is it true? I saw a case where a grandfather was molesting his granddaughter, felony, and he decided to drop it down to a misdemeanor because he was concerned what that would do to the grandfather. Is that true? Did I read that case right?
No, you read it right. Unfortunately, that is true, and it's sad.
Oh my gosh!
I'll tell you, what do you say about a prosecutor who, in a press release, makes a statement that the criminal justice system is the greatest threat to American freedom that we've seen in a generation? What do you say about that?
He said that?
He said that. And I don't,
Holy cow.
I don't know what to do with that. I mean, yes, our criminal justice system isn't perfect, but, I'd put it up against any system in the world. This is America. And I can't believe he would say something like that.
We're talking to Sheriff Mike Smith. Thank you very much, Sheriff. I appreciate your honesty on this. I will tell you, look, you have to decide who to vote for, but I'm telling every city in America, you better look at what's going on in your town because it's coming disguised as a Republican. And these states are starting to fall one by one because you're not paying attention to what's going on in your own. And, we like to believe that, we can trust them. You have to get the word out. People are not necessarily who you think they are. And this prosecutor is extraordinary, in my opinion, extraordinarily dangerous. His name is David Leavitt. and the whole Leavitt thing is. I mean, all of these institutional families. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. This is the best of the Glenn Beck program.